Ciao, I'm Vito De Salvo, and this is La Dolce Vita.
Today, I'm cooking seafood. 3 classical dishes from Italy. Pesce al sale, branzino in cartoccio, and caciucco de lavoro. Now I know these sound complicated, but I promise you, one of these recipes only has 2 ingredients. So let's go shopping.
Ciao, Vito. How you doing today?
Good, how you doing, George?
Good, good.
Well, you all remember my good friend George, the fish and meat manager at my local Giant Eagle. So what do we have today?
We got some red snapper.
Red snapper. Looks good.
Good. I got some fresh calamari.
Calamari. I'll take some shrimp as well. That looks good. I mean, as far as ordering fish is concerned, it's like the meat. A couple days notice and you can get almost anything, right?
That's correct.
But
a couple days notice.
Couple days?
Sure.
All right. Do you have those lobsters in the back for me?
Yeah, I'll have those in the back too. I'll get them for you.
All right. Well, I'm going to round up some other ingredients for the rest of the show. I'll be back in a little bit.
Good.
All right. Thanks.
I'll get it ready.
Well, we're back in the kitchen now. We're going to start cooking our fish. But before we do, I want to introduce you to somebody very special to me. My best friend in the whole world. We've cooked together for 7 years. He's been named one of the top 10 chefs in the United States by Esquire magazine. And his new restaurant, Timo's, named the best restaurant in Dade County by the Sun Sentinel. Mr. Timmy Andriola. How you doing, Timmy?
Ciao Vito, come stai?
Molto bene.
Molto bene, huh?
Well, let's get started right away because we've got a lot of stuff going on today.
All right.
We're going to start off with our caciucco.
Very
Remember
nice.
that dish I made it in your restaurant
Of course.
once?
Kind of like the Portuguese chiapino or the
Right.
bouillabaisse from
Exactly.
Marseille.
So we're going to start off right now by adding a little oil to our bouillabaisse pot and get our onions going. You can hear that cooking again, right?
Yeah,
Always want to
very
hear
nice.
it. So we're going to just let that get started, and we're going to take our lobsters and get those steaming right now.
Let me give you a hand here.
There you go. Thank you. Now, if you have one of these at home, be careful when you open them up if you have them preheated, the steamer, because all that steam's going to come out. You don't want to burn yourself. Toss those right inside. I have this at about 210 degrees. This will be done in about 5 minutes. I got to tell you, I love this steamer, Tim.
Little high-tech steamer, huh?
If you have the means, I highly suggest picking one up. It is so choice. So, we're going to get this steam. Okay, I'm going to just throw in some garlic, a couple cloves. I'm going to leave them whole.
Okay, a little celery, a little fennel.
Yeah, this is basically like a mirepoix is basically always celery, onion, and carrot, but I'm going to be using celery and fennel today. I'm making up my own.
So a little fennel, get a little anise flavor in there, huh?
Exactly. This is going to start the steam here.
Oh, wow, look at that, high-tech, huh?
Sacré bleu.
Very nice. Wish we had one of these in my kitchen.
Yeah, these are, I love this.
Okay, so we're going to put them right into the ice water, shock them. Whew, they're hot.
Hands of steel right there, huh?
That's it. Many years of doing this. All right.
So basically, for somebody at home who's cooking lobsters like this, how long do you want to shock it for?
Just till it cools down in temperature.
So you can work with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, what you want to do, and when you're cooking lobsters, you want to shock them because you don't want them to keep cooking. If you don't shock them, they're just going to have that carryover cooking, and they're going to get hard and rubbery. So if you shock them later, when our dish is ready, we can reheat them in their perfect temperature. I'm going to take the heads right now, and I'm going to use that.
Open them up and take the tamale out.
Yeah, I'm going to take that. You want to start taking the shells off the tails.
Split these tails right open. We're going to serve 4 portions here, right?
Now
So you
this
got
is
there
actually edible.
all the tamale, huh?
Right. Now this is edible. This is this part right here. We used to use these to make a butter, actually.
Yeah, yeah. The coral butter.
Right, coral butter. You take that, mix it with the butter. When you heat it back up, this turns orange.
Bright red.
Beautiful.
A lot of flavor in these bodies, huh?
Yeah, you want to use these. I mean, you don't want to throw this away. Everyone throws these away. This is going to make the best soup. Right here. I'm also going to throw in the shrimp shells at the same time from our peeled shrimp. Don't throw anything away, you know?
Use it all. So what I'm doing is just splitting the back of these the lobster tails, so we get 4 portions out of it. The meat's just a little bit slightly underdone, which is perfect because we're going to finish it in the caciucco.
Perfect. Now we got those sweating off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of monkfish. Now what I'm going to do is I diced up a little bit, and I left some whole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook a little bit of the fish with this, and then save a little bit just for the presentation later. So what you want to do after we put in those lobster shells is deglaze it with a little white wine, and then we can add our tomatoes. Basically, I use canned tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because it has a nice sauce with it, and basically what I like to do, you have to add a little water to this as well. So I fill up, for every can I use a can of water too.
That's a good rule of thumb. All right, now you want to put the lid on it? And bring
Actually, I'm
it
going
up
to
a simmer?
season it just a little bit with some salt. Not too much, because the shells of the shellfish have a lot of salt in it. When they
Little
reduce
saline in
down,
there, right?
they'll have a lot of salt. So we're just going to mix that in, and you don't have to worry about breaking up your tomatoes, because we're going to pass this whole thing, and it's nice to cook them down whole.
They
So
kind
we're
of break down as it
right.
stews together,
They're going to
too.
stew, but we're going to pass the whole dish. So we're going to put the cover on that, let that cook, and move on to our next dish.
And when we come back, I'll show you my favorite way to cook fish, using only 2 ingredients. So don't go away.
Now you're familiar with this one.
We've done it once or twice before.
Well, I know you've been to Italy too. You've worked in Italy as well.
Sure.
So this is a classic dish. I think this is the best way, absolutely, to prepare fish.
Really keeps it nice and moist.
It does.
Nice flavorful. Let me
Keep
get
the
rid of that
natural flavor.
nice water for you. Put that right there for you.
So what we're going to do, Tim, is we're just going to take kosher salt.
Right?
Now, some recipes call for using egg whites to whip them, to hold it in.
Right into the salt.
You really don't need it, though. I like just using salt. I just put a little layer on the bottom.
That's quite a healthy layer there, huh?
Yeah. It won't hurt it.
Just enough to protect it on the bottom.
Exactly. Now, you want to make sure that the fish is scaled.
Right.
Okay. So you can ask your fishmonger or your supermarket, wherever you get your fish, to do that for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put that right in there, and I'm going to cover it with salt. Literally bury it. I like to. The more you put on it, it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to over salt. You don't have to worry about
It's
that.
not going to be a salty fish when it's all done.
No. It's going to be flavored perfectly. I'm going to throw this on here and throw it into our preheated oven for about 20-25 minutes, depending on the size of your fish. We're getting our vegetables ready for the fish al sale. Why don't you tell me about the next dish, Tim? It's one of your...
Well, it's a signature dish at the restaurant.
Exactly.
Basically, it's a fish in a parchment paper, al carciocco, al cartuccio, as I say it. Huh?
Cartoccio.
Cartoccio. My Italian is no molto bene. Huh?
This is another great way of cooking fish. It keeps all the flavor and the moisture inside, right?
Yep. What I do is I make a little incision. I always keep a towel in this hand. It kind of protects it. In case that knife slips off,
Right.
it acts as a little insurance. So I make an incision first there, and then I'll make a slight incision all the way down on the spine, and then very delicately with the tip of my knife, I'm just going to go right on top of it, so to make sure that I'm not taking any of the bones.
The meat away.
And I want to just make sure that I only get the flesh.
Right.
And basically, we're just going to release the flesh from the skin, just real gently, just kind of separate it.
Now you pull on that skin as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the motion. I'm pulling this way and kind of just pushing the knife in a light little seesaw method,
Right.
just to release that. Now what I'm doing over here is just peeling down the asparagus. Peel it down a little bit. You don't have to go too far into it. You want to leave a lot of the meat there. Just
I'll blanch those for you. Got my ice water right over here.
And the other thing we're going to do is just take a little bit of tomato flesh. Get the tomato itself. Just you can put that right in there with that.
Skinless, seedless tomato.
Exactly.
Just want the fillet of the tomato.
Just a little bit of fillet. It's gonna balance real nice with the fish and the asparagus. Okay, this is just parchment paper, and you need about the size of a half sheet pan. About so. I mean, basically, it's got to be big enough so that when you put the fish and the asparagus and the tomato in there, you're able to fold the bag over and then fold it around to make the pouch.
So we're going to undercook these asparagus, right? Because we're going to cook them again in the oven.
Exactly. You just want to get the process started, because if you put it in raw, the fish would probably be overcooked by the time that the asparagus was cooked through.
Right. So you just made an X here. We're just going to peel that down.
Right. Basically, what I'm going to do is just cut into quarters, and then to get rid of all the innards or the seeds, the less desirable part, just cutting it away. I like to season the asparagus. We season everything that goes into the bag. A little bit of salt right on the tomato as well. Okay. Now we're just going to lay a few pieces of asparagus down, and this asparagus kind of acts as a buffer between the bottom of the oven and the fish, so that
Right,
the
so the
fish
fish doesn't burn.
Exactly, so it's not directly on there.
Now you can also do this if instead of parchment paper, you can also use aluminum foil, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just really, you know, you just want to make sure that the seal's on the outside and
So
all
the air
flavor
stays inside.
and all the flavors in there
Okay.
too. Okay. Again, put the tomatoes right up at the top here, and then just season the fish fillet. And I want to do it real delicately. I'm using kosher salt,
A little white wine,
a little white wine.
just a sprinkle.
Just
What does the white wine do?
it's a little bit of acid, kind of
Okay.
helps to fight through the richness of the fish. This sea bass is a pretty rich fish.
Okay.
So basically just folding the paper over and then making a seal at one side. Just start it where it begins to crease, and then just making a fold over each time.
Right. This is making like a calzone shape,
Exactly.
half moon, if you will.
Yeah. And keep it nice and tight, and then when you get to the end, you can just give it a little twist.
Okay.
Twist it real good. Some people put a little paper clip on there. You just want to make sure that that it's sealed and it doesn't open up.
Right. So smash that down.
Okay.
Alrighty.
And now the other part of this dish is the confiture lemon. Basically, a confiture is kind of confit means to cook and preserve in its own fat. Well, we're not using fat here.
Right.
We're going to just cook it and preserve it in its own juices.
Okay.
So this is just flesh of lemon, which basically we're just taking the segments out, gotten rid of
Okay.
the seeds.
Okay.
And now we're going to add just a little bit of sugar, and then put it right on the stove in a pot, and we're going to cook it down. Okay. And you could just turn the flame on that and
Okay.
begin to cook it. And when it comes out,
Uh-huh.
you get something like this, which is, you can see it's got a little viscosity to it. It's kind of thick.
Right. And almost like a marmalade.
Exactly. I mean, a marmalade would be cooked down a little bit
Right.
more and probably a lot more sugar. This one has just, you know, it still has that sweet sourness to it.
Okay.
And the other thing I want to do is before you put these in the oven is just want to just give it a little bit of grease on there, just to
Make
a
sure
little,
they don't stick to the sheet
little
pan.
added insurance. Exactly.
I'll throw those right in for you.
Okay.
Now, how long are these going to take?
Well, I mean, if you put it in about 350 oven, about 7 to 8 minutes. You know, it depends on really the thickness of the fish. So, I mean, basically when it puffs up and the bag's golden brown, that's usually our indicator that it's ready.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll wrap things up and I'll show you how to make a beautiful presentation of each dish. So stay right there.
Oh, that looks good. Shellfish.
How's
That's
she
great.
look?
Oh,
Oh, look at that.
and what we're going to do here is we're going to take out all the shellfish, all the hard shellfish, the shrimp shells, the lobster shells, okay? And then we're going to pass this through a food mill. Actually, like it's kind of like straining it, but like pushing it through so you get all those chunks of food in there.
Still a lot of flavor in there.
And then we're going to take the hard shells, the shrimp and the lobster, and we're going to press those down just to get out any leftover juice in there. Because even
lot
if you
of
get
flavor.
even if you get a half a cup of juice,
Yeah.
that's the most flavorful part. So you want to make sure you get that. Okay, so we're going to start pulling out all of our shells. Now this is something that really takes a couple hours, maybe even all day. I mean, I let this boil about 2 hours, but it's well worth it. Actually, Tim, this is served every Friday in Italy. You see in all the trattorias, you know, venerdì caciucco,
Yeah.
Friday caciucco. And what they used to, what happened here, how this got started, is they used to take all the leftover fish from 2 or 3 days and put that all together in one big stew. So there's no real, you know,
Set recipe.
set recipe. Okay. Now I'm going to take all those shells.
Boy, this smells great. Get a little of that juice out of there, huh?
All right, squeeze them out if you can, break them down. Especially the parts where they're soft around the body part,
Yeah.
where the legs were. Those are the best parts. See, there's not much liquid coming out of there. But the liquid that does come out is very strong in flavor, so you want to make sure you do this. You don't want to skip this step. And we pour that liquid right through that too.
Please do.
Look at the consistency of the soup. It's not very liquidy. It has a lot of...
Good chunks.
Yes, it does. See that in there?
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That looks nice. How's she tasting?
You take the first taste, Timmy.
Thank you.
Now, you remember my first rule of cooking, you always want to taste your own cooking. You need some salt, some pepper, any other flavorings.
A little pinch of salt.
I'm going to go some sea salt in here. Now, also in Livorno, where this originates, they make it spicy. They put in a lot of chili pepper,
A
too.
little chili flake.
Now, I like spice, but not too much.
So a little black.
So
a
I'm
mixture of peppers.
A little colored pepper right here. But I'm not really, I don't put in a lot of chili because I don't want it to overpower the flavor of the fish.
Now, this we're going to add a little
Now,
bit.
this is the base.
We're going to add a little bit more seafood to it. Some
Right.
of the fish.
Well,
some of the
what I'm
shrimp.
going to do now is come back over to our fish here. We're going to take our calamari and our shrimp, okay? Now, the calamari I'm just going to throw right in there and let that cook so we have that big calamari. Now, the monkfish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make nice little fillets and I'm going to saute that.
Okay.
And then, I'm going to do that again with the lobster as well with a little butter. Just we're going to saute that up.
All right.
And same with the shrimp. And then we're just going to scoop that in. We're going to make a nice dish. You want to give me a hand?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
We're going to just make nice little portions, a little bigger than bite size, maybe 2 bite portions right there. Now another thing we're going to do here, Tim, I'm going to pass this to you. Now, the last thing, absolute last thing we want to do is the calamari.
Sure.
Now we put the calamari in there, but it cooked for about 2 hours, so that's fine. You can either cook calamari a long time or a short amount of time, 30 seconds.
It gets real rubbery if you don't do that, huh?
Now if you cook it for an hour and a half,
It becomes very tender. But
Exactly.
if you cook it for a short period of time.
right. So I'll tell you what. You wanna saute all the fish, and
Sure.
I'm gonna do another little trick. What we do with the caciucco. Of course, we're back in Tuscany. We have our bread. Can't be a soup without bread, right?
Now this is going to go into the soup at the end,
Just
or
sit right on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, so you have a little bread with that soup.
traditional garnish? This is.
Yes, there's always bread in the soup. Actually, when I was served this in Livorno, I've been there and I've had this soup. What they do is they put the bread, the toasted bread, on the bottom of the plate and then pour the soup right over that.
So it's already soft when
Right.
you get to it. Oh, beautiful shrimp here. And monkfish is real close. How are you making out?
I'm almost ready.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the lobster in there then. Put this juice right back in the caciucco, huh?
Yeah.
A little flavor there.
The more the merrier.
And we just want to warm that, huh?
Yeah, we're just going to heat that up because it's already cooked.
Calamari time.
30 seconds, we're ready.
Yep. Put that right in there.
Now again, in Tuscany, they just made all the fish together, the bones and all. They just take it out, put the plate down, the bread.
Stir it right in there, huh?
There you go.
They don't mind
As
eating
rustic
bones.
as you can get. But just for because this is La Dolce Vita, we're going to be a little more intricate. So, there we go.
A little bit of each, huh?
Yeah, just one tail, one piece of monkfish,
One claw.
one claw.
Now, do you finish this with anything? A little oil?
I'm going to finish it right now for you. You want to grab the bread out of the oven for me?
Yeah.
That should be just about ready.
Okay, just take the bread like this and just
Just
a
rub
little-
it down. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little bit of this.
A little bruschetta, huh?
Put one of those right in.
Oh,
Now the only thing we're going to do to finish this, Tim,
a little bit of the extra virgin olive oil.
Always.
How did I know that was coming? Very traditional, huh?
They finish everything with extra virgin.
Just a little bit right on top of the
Maybe
fish.
a little pepper if you want. And if you absolutely have to,
A little prezzemolo, huh?
a little prezzemolo, a little parsley.
Very nice.
And there you go.
Good job.
Caciucco. Oh, perfect. Looks good, Timmy. I think our vegetables are done too.
Oh, let me give you a hand with those.
You want to plate those up?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Careful. That
Now-
smells good.
What I like to do when we're serving this is present it at the table, especially if you're having a big meal and you get to do a big fish like this. I presented at the table like that.
That's nice and hard, huh?
Oh yeah, that's a rock hard right there. See, that's what I'm saying. You don't really need that egg white.
Yeah.
What you want to do now is you want to crack this, okay? Try to get off all those big pieces of salt now. It should come off a couple nice big pieces like that. So what we want to do now is we want to peel off the skin, because we're going to fillet this almost like Tim filleted the branzino, except we're going to do it without a knife. We're going to peel away this skin. Now, this isn't going to come off like a fillet of fish all together. You're going to have to just like spoon it on little pieces at a time. The best way to do it is start right here in the middle. So you're just going to have to take little pieces at a time. Wow. It's so tender, though. That's why it just falls apart like butter. Take where this head part is. You
Peel
just
it right
wanna
away, huh?
peel off right that skeleton.
I'll give you a hand right there.
Thank you. Just like a cat would take that away. There you go. Now that bottom part's all ready to go. You want to be careful of these little bones right here again. Again, and just do the same thing, start in the middle.
Peel it away from the skin.
Just take it right off from the skin. It'll come right off for you.
You serve any sauce with this, or just like this?
I'll let you guess. What do you think?
Maybe a little extra virgin olive oil?
That's it. You got it. And there you have it. And now for our next trick.
The extra virgin olive oil.
And there it is.
Voila.
Well, we did a good job, Tim. We started off with your branzino and cartoccio. Excellent dish. Keeping it simple, moist. We had the caciucco di Livorno, the fish soup.
Yep.
And finished up with the pesce al sale. Some roasted vegetables. And can't get simpler, faster, and better to eat, huh?
Buon appetito, huh?
Buon appetito.
Ciao.
We'll see you next time on La Dolce Vita.